I need you to be honest with me here. There's a massive part of me hesitating. It's not because of like a self belief or anything like that. Well, maybe it is. I'm not going to say that because you called me out on it. But fucking, but is this like, you go on, man. You know as well as me how many coaches. I told you about that one the other week that tried to suck me into fucking, you know, 20 something grand US for like 4 sessions or some shit like that. Anyway, my point being, there are so many out there, man. And all these guys think they're fucking wizards and they're better than the rest and everything like that. And there's like literally, I would argue, hundreds of thousands of them. I think it is saturated. But do you think that I'm jumping in at the wrong time, or like, do you think that it's going to be hard for me, or do you think like, I just need like, if it's going to be like, hey man, you're going to have to fucking slog this out for you to really get this to work, because like this is a really competitive, like, I know that's the answer. I get that, but like, to what extent? Do you get the picture I'm painting? Because that's the only thing that's like holding me back. Honestly, am I kidding myself? Am I jumping in at like, at the fucking late adopter stage?
No. This is why I believe so much in what I do, is because there's people who do what I do. Like, there is people who help people build their story out, tell their story, use storytelling to make content, work cameras, become coaches, all this shit. It's nothing new. However, the difference is that no one has my story. And so as I begin to develop my content and begin to tell my story, then people will begin to resonate with my story. People will begin to resonate with my perspective on business and my perspective on mental health. I posted a video last night about it. People will start to resonate with my perspective on COVID vaccines. Not that I plan on sharing any of that. As I begin to share those beliefs and those stories and those opinions that are going to divide people down the line, people will want to work with me. And they're not going to work with me because I'm just another coach. They're not going to work with me just because I'm another guy who's teaching personal branding. They're not going to work with me because I'm some guy who knows how to make content and XYZ, because there's fucking so many of them, right? They're going to work with me because they see themselves in my story and they believe that I'm the best person to help them get to where they want to go, right? And I guess it brings me to the question, why did you want to work with me?
Yeah, well, that's a little bit of a more complex one, but the easy answer is I knew that we were aligned and I knew that you were heading on the path, like not exactly the same path, but a very, very similar path is the one that I want to walk with you.
Yeah, that's what everyone does. I am notorious for downloading resources, free resources, ebooks, fucking Notion templates, docs, checklists, all this shit. I fucking am so good at it. I do it all the time. And I open maybe 5% of them. But I just finished up on a 6-week program where I spent $2,000 with a guy named Tom Noski, and I showed up to 80% of the calls. I did pretty much all of the work. I put a lot of money into it and a lot of time into it and a lot of trust into it. And he's arguably just another fucking personal branding coach, or just another person who teaches you how to make money online, or just another guy who teaches you how to make content. But if you go and watch his content, there is going to be a massive part of you that goes, fuck, he gets me. Like, and I would say if I resonate it, you'll resonate with some of his content. Maybe not to like, enough to work with him. But for me, I did, because he comes from a creative background. Yeah. He's Australian. Like that in itself is, a lot of these coaches are American, and that is a big cultural difference.
That's true.
And so to hear an Aussie go, yeah, like just swearing and just being Aussie and just things that only Aussies get is a massive connection point for other people just like us. Like, the big tall poppy syndrome, like every Australian understands what that is. And so what I'm saying is that it's not gonna happen quickly. Like it's not going to happen quickly. You're going to have some people who are attracted to you quite quickly. You're going to get a lot of people who observe from the outside. Like I put out content of like, hey, I'm thinking about building this. Like, tap if you are interested in it. And I just get like these random people who I've never fucking heard of. They've been following me for I don't know how long. They're interested in what I do. And it's like, I had no idea they existed. And so it is, I understand where you're at with it, man, because I also definitely go through that way of thinking as well. And you do have days and continue to have days like that of like, fuck, like, do I really want to do it? Is it really going to be worth it? Oh, like they're so much further ahead, like the comparison. But there was an interesting post I actually saw on Threads this morning. No, I fucking wrote it. What am I saying? I wrote it. And it's like, I would much rather see someone post about they just launched their first podcast episode or they just ran their first 5K. That for me just feels so much closer to home as opposed to I made 7 figures in 3 months and I'm going to show you how. And so you kind of almost have a bit of an advantage of being like the guy on the journey. You kind of have this advantage of being like, hey, I'm maybe, 2 to 3 steps ahead of where you are right now, guy who I'm speaking to. But this is what I learned along the way. And this is how I overcame that one thing that may just be in your way right now. And they read that and they're like, fuck, like, yeah, we're on a similar path. He knows where I'm going.
That's another reason why you resonated to me, because I'm not interested in the dude with 1.3 million followers.
Yeah.
I'm interested in the dude that's a few steps ahead of me.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like that's 100% as well. Like that's I follow some guy and I've been contacting all the people he's training,
Right.
because I'm like, no, I don't want the dude with 3 million followers that charges $20,000 to interview him.
Yeah.
I want guys that are just learning off him that are on the, not that I'm going to sign up, but yeah, it's interesting you say that because that's very, very true.
Yeah, it's because it is true. And, like you're probably going to get the same. Here's what the advantage of working with that guy is as well. The one who's just a couple of steps ahead of you, i.e. me, is that you have like my undivided attention. Like the guy who's got the 1,000-member community has a very divided attention. And so there's also a massive advantage in that, you get to build a very deep relationship with people. And that's what I'm really interested in. Like I will get to a stage where I'll start charging a lot more just because I want to work with less people. It's what I do. It's what I've done in my agency. It's what I love to do. High ticket, but working with a low amount of people. But then also having a place for people where I can scale it, but that it is inexpensive. But it also is inexpensive in time as well at my end. So it's a way for me to reach more people at scale without sacrificing my time and being able to just continually grow that while also maintaining my attention with people like you, right? So this is where it comes down to it. And the other thing is like, even if you were to charge someone $1,000 a month and you were to fucking completely transform them, you also have to remember, like, people have money and there are things, especially for men, that are really, really important that there is no amount of money that they wouldn't pay to fix it. Right. So if you can prove that you can fix these problems actually for these guys, and what's great is that your audience could be like fucking rich dudes, because rich dudes are workaholics, also probably alcoholics, also probably coke addicts. And like you can fucking help them real quick, but they also have the money to be able to pay it. right? And this isn't a thing of like, oh, how much money can I make? Money is very important. Money is very important, and I think Alex Hormozy says it. He's like, if you want to make money online, solve rich people's problems. And so I think there's an opportunity for you, and this is where I'm at too. Like, I understand that you're not rolling in dough, but I fucking love helping you and having these calls. I have clients who can barely afford my work, like barely, and they're scraping by, but they do it because it's important to them. Like for me, I'm like, I don't want to spend my time trying to go back and forth with clients, trying to like work out a price that works for them. And so with those people, I need to make sure that they tick the boxes. That is like, I love working with them. I see a massive vision for them. Like I really believe in them as people, but I also am starting to go after the big clients that, I'm not as passionate about, but that can really help me financially. So I think that's really important as well.